Hello everyone, Wyland here, and welcome to another episode of Wyland's World. Today we're going to learn about the desert loot crates and how to actually find the desert loot crates if you're on a primitive server. If you're on a normal server, it's really easy to find them because all you got to do is just go right to the GPS coordinates. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to actually find them if you don't have a GPS. I'm going to show you what kind of gear you need to take with you, the best type of dinos that you might want to bring along, and basically once you see how I do this, you will be able to find them without using a map or anything, day or night, and get you a lot of cool loot. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so the desert loot crates are the loot crates that are in the outer edge of the map. They're just like the sea loot crates that you would see on the island. But the good thing about these loot crates is, since they are on the outside edge of the map in the sand dunes, you don't need a crazy high level sea creature to be able to find them. There's not as much danger in the desert as there is underwater. I mean, right now, currently in the game, you have the new squid is out that can grab you and do all kinds of crazy things to you. You got the new jellyfish that are out that will stun lock whatever you're on and knock you off of it, kill it pretty quick. I mean, you got all kinds of threats down there now. You got alpha moses, which whenever the underwater loot crates first came out, you didn't have all that stuff to deal with. I mean, the hardest thing underwater was just the mosa itself, which that wasn't really hard at all. So now there's a lot more challenge in the ocean than there is actually in the desert. And with the last patch, they just added all the loot crates and all the actual physical drops that you see, all these colored drops coming down. They've actually increased the loot on those. So, I mean, most of them are giving out double loot. I mean, you don't see any around. There's one way down there, the purple one. You can see it down there. So that's kind of a good thing, especially if you're on a primitive server. Like I'm on this server right here. This is an official primitive Scorched Earth server, and there are nobody's online right now. That's usually the case most of the time. So I have been here doing whatever I have to do, and then bringing it back to my main base on the island. So let's go ahead and start talking about the gear you're going to need. So the canteens, you can't actually make canteens, but you can find them in all the drops that you see just out in the world. So if you start going to all the color drops we just looked at, you're going to find a ton of canteens. I've got so many of these things. I usually bring them back to my other base, and I keep some here just to have. But you're going to want a canteen. Actually, you're going to want two canteens. I usually take two canteens with me to the desert. And also, I'll take some flowers to eat. If you don't have the option of getting flowers, what you can do is just take something out, get some cactus sap, bring that with you. That'll do well for your food intake. So before you even start anything in SE Scorched Earth, you're going to get one of these little guys right here, the jerboa. Reason being is they give you clues as to what's going to happen with the weather. Now this really only matters for a sandstorm, because if you get hit with a sandstorm and you're in the desert, it could be kind of bad for you if you got the sandstorm coming down and you got to actually put your tent down in the desert sand. Then you got sandworm problems that could come up, and it's just not a good idea. So if you go out there into the sand dunes, you must have one of these with you. And in general, this is a good thing to keep with you at all times, just so it tells you what's going on with the weather. This is what I was talking about with the jerboa, giving you signals for things. See if he does it. So you see how he was sniffing in the air? That means it's going to rain. So in the next few minutes, you're going to start seeing rain come down. Actually might start heading out to the sand dunes now if it's raining. There's the rain. because I don't really have to worry about heat. And it's almost nighttime. So, all right, the next thing you're going to need, let's open up my bag. You're going to need a few sets of gear. First off, I have my desert gear. That is for mainly for the water retention that it gives. You can see it on there, 112% all the way across. Okay, so that keeps your water levels up. I do have a ghillie suit as well, and this is really most of this stuff I have, which is a ghillie suit piece right here too. Let's take the hat off of it. Most of this stuff is just stuff I found in the desert from blueprints, so I made it. So my ghillie suit's really good. And if the temperature gets extremely high, my desert suit is no longer going to work to keep me cool. So I can put the ghillie suit on, and it pretty much stops any type of heat. I mean, it would have to be an extreme level of heat for me to actually get the big fireball and have to worry about heat issues. The only drawback with the ghillie suit is that it doesn't have the water retention. So if it gets really hot, I put this on. If it's just normal desert temperatures, I put this on. And then the other issue you got is nighttime. Nighttime it gets cold, especially in the sand dunes. So I have just a standard set of hide leather armor. So a quick recap of what we got so far. We got our 3 sets of gear. If you can't make the crazy Cinda gear, just make normal sets of it. If you need polymer, head out to the desert sand dunes with a good dinosaur like a Rex that can take some damage, because you're going to have to probably fight death worms if they pop up, but you want to go out there and kill lots of mantises. They get tons of polymer, more than you could ever get from a penguin. So if you ever want polymer, that's the place to go. So here I've got one of my lower level dragons, and I also got a Quetzal here. I was using a Quetzal for a while, and this is just a standard Quetzal that's got the just normal saddle on it. You can do, I mean, if you wanted to, you could put a platform saddle on it. You could build a little hut and have some shelter if you wanted to run into it. But just to make it simple, I just put a normal saddle on it. If you're going to use a Quetzal, use one that you can put a lot of points in speed. I got 300% speed in this one. The reason why I say that is because the desert is kind of long to fly all the way around it. So as long as you have a lot of speed, it kind of helps with the boredom of flying around. And if you got something slow, it's really going to get crazy boring to you trying to get around to all the different drop locations, because they are pretty spread out. But I switched over to the dragon because it's quicker, it's faster. It stamina drain is crazy good on it, so I don't have to worry about stamina that much. It's got enough damage to kill everything, and it can actually take out other dragons if I come across them. The Quetzal, I'm not going to take the Quetzal and try to fight other dragons with it. Just because it would probably take me a little bit of time because the damage is kind of low on it. So I'm not even going to worry about doing something like that. I usually just fly away from them. Alright, so it's still raining, but I'm going to head over to the green Spire location. The reason why I started over in this area because there's a lot of easy to remember landmarks for you to see compared to the map that you got to find these loot crates over here, and it's a good place to start at. So once I'm at green, I'll just head on out to the sand dunes. Alright, so here I am. This is the Badlands. You see this rock area over here, that's Badlands. You see the rock area over there, that's Badlands. So you can distinctly see those on the map as Badlands. You can see the actual little channel we're in right now, where the green Spire is. So this gives you a really good location to start at, because you know exactly where you are on the map. But you see these 2 blue dots on the map. Those are water wells. And it's easy to find water wells in the sand dunes, and you can use those to kind of calculate where you're at and where you need to go. So we got the water dune right here, which is the one a little bit further out. Then we got the one that's a little bit further in, and the loot crate should be, if there is one in this spot, we would just go directly this direction, which there's actually 2 loot, and you can see it right there. There's a loot crate. So we see that loot crate's on the map, and we know that there's another one on past it. So once we get this loot crate, let's kill all the stuff around it. We don't really need to kill that one thing. These things will destroy your armor pretty quick if you get off your dinosaur while on the ground. And you'll have no problem killing those with your Quetzal. So we're gonna get the loot crate. Bunch of junk. Alright. So we got this loot crate, which you have to keep in mind there's only 2 on the map at any time. So now they have spawned in different directions, or different areas, or one is spawned somewhere different besides this location. So we know the next loot crate could be on past this one. So we're going to start here. We're just going to fly this way to try to find the next one. And at nighttime, this is a lot easier because they will glow. And you'll see that soon once it starts getting dark. Okay, so I'm over at the northwest water well, which you can see right there in front of me, all those trees. Those are usually the signs that there's a water well in the sand dunes. And then if you look on the map, it shows the loot crates right close by, and you can see it right there on the ground. So there's the loot crate. I'm going to go down, loot it. I didn't check for sandworms. That wasn't a good idea. But I got that. Quickly back to my dragon, and then we're off. So I went counterclockwise from the other place to this water well, because I'm going to use this water well as a kind of a landmark to find the next few loot crates. Because you can see on the map, they kind of go straight down, but a little bit closer to the border, to the invisible wall, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to head in this direction. And if it's at night, like I was telling you, which I'll show you, I'll try to show you one at nighttime, but if it's at night, you see these a whole lot better. Okay, so it's nighttime now. We're at the same location, and we're going to start at this water well. No drop at this one, but we're going to keep going from this water well all the way around to the other part of the map where the drops start up again. And there you go. You see the drop right there. It's extremely bright. It's a lot easier to find these at night because that's what it looks like. So I mean, if you don't know the actual spot it's in, you could just go out at night and find them pretty easy. No sandworms churning, so I'm going to get this. So let's talk about some of the dangers in the desert. I'm right here where I just found something you're going to have to look out for. See if I can get it to come up again. There it is. That's the sandworm right there, or the death worm. I always call them sandworms, but that's the death worm. You can see that's following me, and it'll follow you for a long distance, so you can actually just take these things away from wherever you're going to go to. But if I get close to it, which it went back under the ground, if I get close to it, it will pop out. There it is, right there. Doesn't shoot anything or anything like that. It just does a decent amount of damage, so you just kind of want to stay away from it. The other thing you might run into that you will definitely need to watch out for is dragons. And there, hey, there's another drop right there. Just get this drop real quick. The other thing you need to look out for is dragons. Dragons do spawn in the desert. They will sometimes be sitting behind hills and you not see them. You might come across them. Sometimes you'll see them in the air flying around, but you don't see them very often. But they are out here, so be aware of that. If you come across a dragon and you're on a dragon, you probably don't have any issues killing it. But if you're on a Quetzal, you might want to have enough speed, which I would say over 260. I don't know the exact number for sure, but you want to have enough speed to get away from it. And also you want to avoid, with the dragons, you want to avoid their kind of AoE hit. Because, for example, like the poison that hits your dinosaur is going to also poison you, which it'll kill you quicker than it will kill your dinosaur. So just be aware of that. But you already saw the sandworm. I've been all the way around the map almost, and I haven't seen the dragon yet in the sand. So it's not something you're going to see very often. Even the sandworms are not something you're going to see very often. They are out here. And if you see an alpha, the alpha's just going to go about 3 times as fast as what you just saw. That sandworm is going to come after you. And those things are really massive. But even that, I've only seen one alpha since I've been on Scorched Earth. So just make sure whenever you get the loot crates, pay attention to your surroundings. You know, if you're flying something, just stay on the ground for like this for a second. Just see if anything starts churning in the sand. Grab your loot crate and get out of there. So this is definitely an easy area to get your loot, especially if you get your blueprints updated to the newer stuff, the new good stuff. I would definitely recommend doing this instead of going out into the ocean currently, because I mean the ocean is just kind of ridiculous right now with the stuff they added in it. So right now is probably the best time to go out here and get this stuff, because who knows, they're probably might add something ridiculous into the sand dunes where it's going to be a real pain to actually get something from here. So that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them below. Like this video if you like it, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.